Okay, it seems to have reconnected now. My apologies if the audio has cut out. I just need to double check this actually is connected. It doesn't seem to be dropping frames anymore, which is nice. Let's go to Stream Manager. Where are we? Nope, we are indeed connected. So let us continue. That's what our Count is like as a person. But as for his talent for survival, do you know the story of Heaven's Edge? He was the only member of his family to escape with his life when the demons unleashed the magical plague on the Arendelle estate. Can you tell me more about that? I don't know all the details. It happened a while back. But when I was a mercenary, I had nothing to do with Canabras. Back when she was that. I only know that there was a grand feast in honor of the Darren's birthday, and all his relatives were invited along with a few other distinguished guests. Everyone died from a mysterious disease someone had unleashed on the estate, including the servants, the guards, and a number of clerics and paladins. But the young count survived. Because of his healing ability, I suppose. Darien does possess an unusually brilliant talent, even as if the application of his skills leave much to be desired. Why is he trying to provoke the Queen? Who knows? It could be some family matter. The Count is Her Majesty's cousin twice removed or something like that. But I think he simply enjoys infuriating people. Crusaders and Neomedes servants especially. Thank you for telling me this. My pleasure. I'm sorry you had to endure my grumbling. Watching these things happen to my city has put me in a foul mood. I found Jenna Adori. Yes, thank you. It's good to have her back. We need every fighter we can get. She frowns though. I suppose it's asking too much to want fighters that are sober as well. The Tower of Estrad has been cleared of demons. Great. The places where the demons have gathered need to be cleared one by one. Then they won't be able to stab us in the back when we take on the Great Garrison. Thank you for your services. And everything here isn't things. It's just things we've discussed before. Go. May Omide keep you safe. Let's talk to Len. What brings you here? I'd like to know more about you. Let me guess. The first question is, can you wear a hat with your one horn? Am I right? I mean, so, can you wear a hat with your one horn? Sure I can, but certain designs don't suit me too well. Ed speaks in a deadly serious voice. Romans have short lifespans, but you don't look like you're getting old or dying. How old are you? Man chuckles. I'm as old as I look. No surprises there. But remember Sol? He's 10 years older than me. I remember him back when he was a fearless warrior, and day by day I watched him turn into an old man. Him and my father. It happens very quickly. First you miss a shot because you don't see the target as clearly as you used to. You think it's because your eyes are tired. You tell yourself you'll get better tomorrow. Then you notice you're having trouble breathing. That climbing is harder than before. Lan clenches and unclenches his human fist. Your fingertips stop bending. You have to tie your sword to your hand. You can't even put on your greaves without help. Then you're washing your face in a stream. Sometimes you catch sight of a grey-haired, wrinkled old man that you don't recognize. Oh, grey-haired, wrinkled old man you don't recognize. And this goes on until one day you come across a cave beast and you don't realize that you can't outrun it. Lan takes a breath. My dad kept diaries, marking all the signs. I saw it too, the last year. I had to help him get out of bed, help him dress, remind him to eat. Sometimes he forgot my name. I told him that we should have just stayed on the surface, and he joked that dodging a goddess was behavior unworthy of a crusader. He meant Pharasma. Every morning I wake up and check how I feel. But there's no signs yet. Even so, I know I don't have much time. I need to do something useful before I forget why I came here. You speak common much better than the rest of your tribe. Funnily enough, common isn't all that common underground. But your observation is correct. I think that should be uncommon underground. Could be wrong. I used to live on the surface with my parents for a while, and had a chance to learn a couple of things. The language, and the fact that every peasant who sees my scaly mug screams, "Demon!" and runs away. I don't know if you're interested, but my mum wasn't from an underground tribe. She was a smuggler, the kind that used the dungeons of Canabras to secretly move and store goods. One time, two gangs couldn't agree on how to share a prime cut. Got into a fight, and the winners threw the losers down a hole. Dead and living alike. My dad went to check if the corpses had anything useful on them, and he found a girl from the surface, barely clinging to life. An incredible feeling sparked between them. Maybe they got just like men with scales and a cat nose. That may be it. One way or another, he got back on his feet. He later even left his home caves. And she left her smuggling behind, and they began an honest life together. That's the delightful story of how all land came into this world. Next chapter, however, my family never stayed in one place for long. We lived sometimes on the surface, sometimes underground. We couldn't find a place to call home. Living in the caves was hard for my mum, and my dad's parents raised too many questions of Mindev. They were at war with the demons after all. In the end, my parents decided to stop making each other miserable and separated. My father and I returned to our tribe. I think the peasants screaming, "Demon!" had something to do with it. Maybe Dad just couldn't stand life without red tail soup. I wouldn't rule out that possibility. Did you come with me so you could see the surface again? No, that wasn't it. I just didn't have much patience for certain types of creatures. Demons, I mean. If they want to destroy Canabras, I'll be on the side of the people who they're attacking. Lan looks away. Evil, I don't like when my Spartans hide things from me. Lan, you're a companion and Queen's trust each other. Yeah. Sounds like a poor reason to operate your life. Yeah. Lan doesn't seem bothered by the threat. He shrugs. It's not a secret or anything, just some private emotions and things that don't matter to anyone besides me. But if you listen, be my guest. My birth, hell take me, turned out to be a great misfortune for my parents. All because I'm relatively healthy. I'm the best thing that can come from a marriage between a cave-dwelling mongrel and anyone from the surface. A healthy child with the right number of hands and feet, no apparent defects, no missing organs, all other problems. They saw hope in me, so risked having more children. They thought it would somehow all be alright. A growl edges into Lan's voice at this point. I could have had 4 brothers. The first was born 2 years after me, and died 3 years later. He didn't have a nose. Nothing even remotely resembling one. He could only breathe through his mouth. Mum and Dad were afraid to take their eyes off him, for fear he'd choke and suffocate or something. But in the end, it was his weak heart that killed him. Then there was another pregnancy, and birth. I pretended I was sleeping, and snuck out of my bedroom and listened under the door. All those hours. It was very strange, but I never heard the newborn screaming. Mum moaning, yes. The priest praying. Then I dared to open the door a little and looked inside. The priest stood there, very pale. One of them was holding something, a small object that fit in his palm. He asked, "Do you know what this is?" And the other said, "I think it's a head." Oh, but please, go on. Man pauses, exhales, and continues in a steady voice. It turned out that this time Mum was expecting triplets. The first of the babies was born in pieces. The other 2 didn't live long enough to draw their first breath. About 3 weeks later, my father took me to the caves. He didn't want to leave. I could see it on his face, but I think Mum and he decided it together. The curse my people were carried since the First Crusade stood between them. Not to mention the 4 dead babies. The old age was rapidly taking its toll on my father. After returning to the cave, he lived only 4 more years. So, if you ask me why I decided to go up with you to the surface and join the Crusades, well, the answer is, I've always wanted to. I was afraid to leave my tribe, and it always haunted me that I'd die in a world where 4 Crusades could do nothing to stop the beast from the abyss, and the number of the victims kept growing. I wanted to change that, or at least try to. And if changing things is too much to ask, then at least get a little revenge. The ones who are behind the world wound owe me a great debt. The lives of 4 brothers, all my mother's tears, my father's broken heart. It's a lot. It's so much that killing a couple of demons won't do it for me. I want to do something real, and I'm ready to pay any price. Call it my personal crusade if you like. Lan gives you a slanted grin. I used to think that things would be better if I'd never been born. But now I think I was born for this. To settle the score. Why didn't you go up and join the crusade before? I couldn't just abandon my tribe. I'm their best hunter. They'll have it harder without me, but now that the demons have nearly destroyed Canabras and the caves almost collapsed in our heads, sitting and waiting it out just wasn't an option anymore. Anyway, I'm more useful up here than I am down there, plus the chief let me go, which means my debt to the tribe has been paid. Would you like to find your mother? No. The word flies from Lan's mouth faster than an arrow. Then, after a pause, he continues. I don't want to meet her. Not because of any resentment. She's It's just that she's a half-elf. She's barely got her first grey hair, and I'll be a ramshackle old man. She's buried enough children. There's no need to make her witness the death of another one. I hope you understand. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for listening. And let's not talk about Winterwog at the moment. I found out everything I want to know. Thank you. Sure thing. Two options here. Let's ask about the people. Of course. What would you like to know? What's it like living in caves? Oh, Lan gives you a broad smile. The smile is strange, as if it falters, whereas human features meet as animal ones. Imagine that in the entire world, there's only a few hundred of you. There's not an inch of fertile ground anywhere. Nowhere to grow grain for bread, or cotton, or linen for cloth. Your neighbours are beasts who want to eat you, or parasites who want to infect you with their larvae, and then eat you. And it's not that bad, because you can try and eat most of the things they're trying to eat you. Sometimes at the risk of getting poisoned, sometimes with no risk at all. In the worst years, there's not a single living thing anywhere to be found, predator or prey. That's when you eat mushroom soup. I'd say 3 times a day, but then there's barely enough for anyone once every 3 days. Land shrugs. But life underground has its upsides, pun intended. There's no risk of losing the roof over your head. There's no bad weather, not counting the earthquakes, of course. Are you really descendants of the First Crusades? More like demon spawn, aren't we? Sad, but true. Without the demons, there'd be no mongrels. It's the magic of the World Moon that affected our ancestors and made their children the way we are. Like most in our tribe, Chief Sal fancies himself a descendant of the underground Crusaders, the ones our heroic ancestors left to guard the caves. I don't know if it's true or not. The angel came to our caves for a reason. Maybe he remembered us. Those were evil and dangerous times after the First Crusade. Hundreds of Crusaders have been having children, and babies are born with fangs and horns and warts that cover half their face. People didn't like the new look. The Inquisitors sure didn't. So our ancestors fled prosecution and made a home for themselves down there under the ground. Probably intended to find a cure for their children and hoped to repair in time, but it never happened. Instead, the World Moon's terrible legacy has been passed down from generation to generation. Mongrel parents can only guess what their child will look like. Each of us is born with a new mutation. Many mutations are fatal. He stops, then goes on quietly. Down in the caves, we usually don't congratulate the family for the birth of a child, until they turn at least 3. Most don't even get a name before that. There's no point. It hasn't been that long since the First Crusade. Why do you know so little about your ancestors? Our lives are much shorter than most uplanders. Up here, only a few generations passed, but many who remember old Sarkonis as it stood, are touched by demons. Queen Gallifrey, for example. But where we live, mongrels start getting old much earlier, much faster, and with devastating consequences. Few live past 40, and fewer still live long enough to die of old age. Hunger, disease, and monsters from the deep are more effective killers than time. So for us, the story of the First Crusades is a legend that happened generations ago. There's been no living witnesses. We have the tale of the wise and great ancestors who left us to stand guard in the catacombs. But in reality, I suspect they were desperate wretches who couldn't figure out how to dispel the demonic plague and who were abandoned by their own kind. How do you tell day from night? You can't see the sun with your eyes. Every mongrel settlement has a big gong, which we treat like a relic. The gong keeper hits it twice a day, to mark the beginning and the end. But this custom doesn't keep time very precisely. Every mongrel child has snuck up to the gong to strike it at the wrong time at least once, just out of pure mischief. Nothing can keep me away from it, not even the fact that I only have one ear, which means I could take double the punishment once I was caught. So sometimes the wrong strikes get mixed in with the right ones, and tribe can find itself jumping up to greet the morning in the middle of the night. Do mongrel tribes fight each other? There were some skirmishes, and I've been forced to kill my kinfolk before too. Fights most often break out over food. We have laws in the caves, written and unwritten laws that we follow. Respect one another's right to live, but hunger can push someone over the edge. I've never you can count on that, stolen someone else's kill. But I can understand those of my kin who've tried. To hear your kids begging for food and not being able to feed them is terrifying. You're the only member of the Neathholm tribe to call your people mongrels. Why is that? Because Olive Galarian calls us that? I don't see the point of all this hemming and hawing over what we're called. Anyone who finds it offensive or takes issue with it can lead the charge against the name. No one's stopping them. Personally, I'm not going to pick a fight over something as unimportant as a name. Thank you. You said you were prepared to risk your life to do something meaningful. What exactly did you mean? To invent a new salad and have it named after me. Man remarks grimly. Truth be told, I don't know. It'd be much easier if all I really wanted was to kill demons. Then a few more demons, then more demons after that. Good, honest rage and no needless brooding. I think I actually envy the warriors who can live like that. But I can't. If life's taught me anything, it's that there are no easy choices. Dying a glorious death isn't enough. Some heroes of Crusade did that and saved entire settlements, erected the ward stones. Their actions kept the lands of Medivh safe for decades. That's what I want. For my dumb short life to have meant something. In 4433, Aradin defeated a cult dedicated to the demon lord Discari, making the north of Athelstan safe from demonic influence. However, this projection ended with Aradin's death in 4606, same year that the world wound was opened by the witch Arale Voilesh, working in conjunction with her demonic patron Discari. Demons poured out and overran the barbarian nation of Sarkonis. The world wound was not large at the first, but soon it abruptly expanded. As it kept growing, it came to be seen as a threat to the entire world. The remaining clerics of Aradin and the clerics of his followers Iomade took it upon themselves to defeat the demons and seal the world wound. Answering their call, thousands of pilgrim crusaders flooded up the river roads and into Medivh, nearest neighbouring kingdom of former Sarkonis. Thus the Medivh crusaders were born. Man, you think I have an exaggerated opinion of myself? Some scaly freak crawls out of the caves and wants to take control of the wardstones and flaunt an Iomade's banner? Any fool who can charge